This is Jack, first colt and foal by Cabernet Jack. Jack is coming up for 2 years old, with your mate. Me and Jack are my first horse to start. I plan on not being too proud and asking for help when I need it, so Mick and Alex will be around to do that, but I hope to take the starting all the way through myself, and then jump on his back and yeah, ride him until Christmas maybe, mate. You ready to do some riding? Yeah.
In this clip, I'd already done flexing from both sides, so me standing on both sides of him. So I'm just asking him to give, even though I'm standing on this side, on his near side. He was a little bit confused, but he soon got the pressure and released. So I start asking him for a little bit more with no feet movement, and then I let him go straight away. Right here, I'm going to ask Jack to go off to my left. It was really important that I didn't scare him into and asking him too early just then, and that's why I walked right around his body and made sure I stood in the centre of his body and then asked him to go left. Jack is very much like his dad, Cabernet Jack. In that Cabernet Jack often asks to come in. He'd prefer to stand still. So you'll see Jack ask me when he looks 2 eyes at me. He did it a couple of times just before then, so I've just asked him to stop. But he decided to start digging, so I didn't give any time to relax. I asked him to go again because he chose to start digging in the sand. So I'm really not putting too much pressure on Jack being his first time with me today in the round pen and off the lead. All I want him to do is keep moving forward and then be respectful when I ask him to stop. I'm showing no aggression, no force. I'm just walking and trying to place my feet facing almost his hip and his girth line. I take the pressure off Jack when I do ask him to stop, and I don't stare at him. As long as he behaves and keeps his feet still, I'm happy with that. and I'm not going to reprimand or do anything if he bucks or kicks or shakes his head at me. I'm just asking him to go forward, and I don't want to overreact. So with this little exercise, I'm really wanting Jack to be happy with following the lead or following the pressure. And with this little exercise, the pressure is on his face, but also the rope is going to be sliding across the side of his body. It's going to be wrapped around the back of his legs. Jack was quite sensitive as a foal around his back legs. He had one incident with a rug coming off, so there's been a little bit of rehabilitation around his back legs. And from this little exercise, seeing this in the video, it makes me happy because he doesn't react anymore around his legs. He's wearing rugs every day, and he is pretty happy with understanding what I wanted. This was the very first time that I'd done this with Jack. So yeah, it's important to give the horse the opportunity to follow the line. A reaction that would have been negative, there would have been a bit of panic, and the horse generally would have taken off forwards or sideways. But as you can see, Jack's pretty happy to follow the pressure. And the release was lots of praise at the end and letting him stand still and just take it all in, and then make sure you do 2, 3, 4, 5 times before that session ends. So what I just did then was ask Jack to move his hindquarters, which is just the back end of his body around. He does require to leave his front feet still, but he'll get that. Now you'll see I'll ask him to lunge around me. This is just walking around me. Now he knows this is a full circle exercise. It's no stopping unless I look at his hind end. And I want his hind end to move away from me, and I want his 2 eyes on me, and that's what he's learning now, is to go around or come by. I usually call this the come by. And then you'll see me look at his rump and step towards his rump, and he'll look at me, generally. So in Liberty, when I do eventually take the rope off, to stop him, I can do 2 things. I can walk backwards and ask him to come to me, or I can step towards his rump and ask him to disengage his hindquarters and face me. Disengage, which automatically makes his head face me. And I just checked him then because he didn't disengage properly. So now I'm going to check this side that it works. And he doesn't want to let me around that side, so you can see Jack's actually swiveling his front end at me. But that's okay, I'll work on that. I don't want to stir him up. It's his first day and he's had a lot of new learning today. So I've just walked Jack over to the saddle that's been sitting on the ground in the round pen. He's been around the saddle as we started, and I let him sniff the saddle, so we've already done sort of the holding the saddle and taking it away. He showed nothing. I just wanted to lick and maybe bite the saddle a little bit, but here you can just see I'm not using a saddle blanket. I'm not intending on doing the girth up. It's just putting the saddle on his back, also getting a feel for what size saddle he'll need. So I kind of just worked out his measurements roughly, what I'm going to need if I'm going to saddle him up properly so he's comfortable. I just took it off, put it back on, and I'll make my way around the other side of him and I'll try and do the same thing. So every horse is different, but sometimes a horse can find it completely different on the other side, whether that's the off or near, depending on what you started out doing. Most people stay on the near side of a horse. In this case, Jack didn't do anything different, so I popped it on, took it off and put it back on again. So that's the saddle introduction for Jack, and as you can see, he's pretty okay with the saddle. I don't think I'm going to have a problem with that. I think the girthing up is going to be the next session, so I won't do that today. I've just got one more thing before we finish the session, and that is putting the bridle on Jack. He's already had the bridle on this morning previous to this video. You will see the bridle is too long for him. There's no more holes on there, so I didn't worry too much. I just had a go at placing the bridle on him again, letting him fuss around with it, telling him he's a good boy, giving him a pat and taking it off. All in all, for my personal experience, for my personal confidence, I should say, this is a big thing for me. Bridles have always been my own problem, never the horse. So no matter what horse I've had, for some reason I feel very uncoordinated or not knowing what pressure I should be putting on the horse when I go to put it on or take it off. As you can see here, I'm trying to just give him a little bit of pressure on his nose to say, hold your head down please, Jack, which I ask him now. And then I want to put it back over your face while you keep your head low. I don't take it away while he's mucking around. I try and take it away when he's done good and he's stayed still. So that's it for Jack's day. Day one session over and out.